Parshas Tetzaveh. This week's Parsha begins with Hashem instructing Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, to command the children of Israel to light the menorah. And the language is a little perplexing. It says, V'ata tetzaveh b'nei Israel, and you command the children of Israel, V'yikchu elecha shemen zayis zach kosis lamaor, and they will take for you pure shemen zayis, olive oil, zach, pure kosis lamaor, pressed for the light. In other words, it's the first few drops that come out of the olive when it's pressed. Laha'alos ner tamid, to kindle the light tamid. What does tamid mean? Well, we think of tamid means always, continuously. It's always going. But there's a problem. And we refer to, for example, the lamp that's in front of the Aron HaKodesh in every shul that I know of, in front of the Holy Ark, is called the Ner Tamid. I know of an institution whose name is Ner Tamid, the continuous flame, the eternal flame, perhaps. Well, then how do we reconcile it with the next verse? The next verse says, Ba'ohel mo'ed, michutz ha'paroches asher al ha'edus, in the tent of meeting, outside the curtain that is near the testimonial tablets, the luchos. Ya'arochosa aharonu vanav, Aaron and the Kohen, Aaron and his sons will arrange it, me erev ad boker lifnei Hashem, from evening to morning. Kukasalam l'darosam es b'nei Yisrael, and this is a law forever. Now, how could it be tamid, which is constant? It implies that the light is on, is burning all the time. It's a ner tamid, right? It's always on. Even when all the lights are out on the shul, the ner tamid is still burning. But it says me erev ad boker, from evening till morning. It gets lit at night, and it goes until the morning, and then it goes out. So is that tamid, or is it not tamid? Well, a little hint to this I got when I was reviewing the Parsha, perhaps out loud, in the Beis Medrash. A friend of mine, Aaron Cohen, heard me read the verse, and I said, Laha'alos ner tamid, and he said, and he's a Baal Korah, he reads regularly from the Torah, and he says, no, it's Laha'alos ner tamid, to kindle the light, tamid. Now, there's a little bit of a pause there. How does he know? Well, if you look at the Ta'amei Mikra, if you look at the cantillation trup, it says here, you see this little curvature, Laha'alos ner. This is a mercha, that's a tipcha. A tipcha is like a comma. It ends the thought. Not completely, but it puts a pause on it. And then it says tamid. Laha'alos ner tamid. It doesn't say Laha'alos ner tamid. It says Laha'alos ner, comma, tamid. To kindle the light, tamid. Well, what is tamid in that case? One might suggest that tamid there is not modifying the ner, but rather laha'alos, to light. What do I mean? Well, let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, first, he comments, laha'alos ner tamid. He is implicitly asking, why does it use the word laha'alos, which implies to have it go up? We translate it as kindle, but it means to cause it to rise. What does it mean to cause the flame to rise? So Rashi says, La'alos ner tamid, madlik ad shetehei shalheves olah me'eleha. You light it until the flame goes up by itself. We're going to bookmark that for a moment. Then the next, tamid. What does tamid mean? We said before it means continuously. It's always burning. Like we have eish tamid tukad al mizbeach lo sichbeh. The fire underneath the altar could never burn out. It was prohibited to allow it to burn out. It had to be an eish tamid. That tamid is different than this tamid, evidently. And Rashi cites the distinction. He says, tamid, kol laila v'laila karui tamid. Something that happens every night, like the lighting of the menorah. Every night, that's called tamid. It says, kamo shato omer olas tamid. Like the korban olah, like the daily consumed offering, the offering that went up completely in flame, in smoke, if you will. There was a tamid. There are many tamidim, but there's a tamid shel shachar and the tamid shel bein arbaim. There's a morning one and an afternoon one. In fact, according to the Gemara and Brachos, the at least according to one opinion, the regularly set prayers that we say, the tfilos, are keneged the korbanos, correspond to the korbanos. The Shacharis corresponds, the morning prayer corresponds to Tamid Shel Shachar, and the afternoon prayer corresponds to the Tamid Shel Bein Harabayim. So we see that something can be Tamid, and these didn't burn 24/7. they were done regularly, consistently. And so tamid, in this sense, means consistently in its proper time, without skipping a day, or without skipping a korban, without skipping an offering. And Rashi contrasts it with the lechem apanim, the showbread that was on the shulchan, on the table in the Mishkan, and subsequently in the Beis HaMikdash. He says, "Ve'ena ela miyom liyom," and this is we're not at the lechem apanim yet. We're still talking about the daily offering, the daily lighting. It's a daily event. V'chein b'minchas chavitim, nemar tamid, and also in the mincha of the which is made out of grain, which is baked into little cakes. So that also says tamid, even though half of it was done in the morning and half of it was done in the afternoon. But it was consistent. It wasn't continuous, but it was consistent. Ve'ena ela machzisa b'boker machzisa b'erev. So it's half in the morning, half at night. Aval, however, now it's the contrast. Tamid hamur b'lechem apanim. This tamid, which is stated concerning the showbread, that's mishabbos l'shabbosu. That is from one week to the next, from one Shabbos to the next, which is that when the Kohanim would replace the lechem apanim, the showbread, on the shulchan, they would it would stay there for a week, and then it would be replaced, and it would be within a tefach, within a hand's breadth, approximately 4 inches, and one goes out, the other one goes in. The shulchan was never bereft of lechem apanim. It was always on, always on. I consulted somebody who about what words in English might connote a uninterrupted, constant thing, and that, he suggests, would be continuous, and something which is done regularly and consistently would be continual. Maybe it is, maybe that's the case, but the point here is that this notion of tamid can mean all the time, always, and like gravity is tamid, and then it could be like the sun, like the light. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, but you get it every day. In other words, something which is recurring consistently is also tamid. But this notion of tamid is a time notion, but one that can be read to mean always on or consistently recurring. The Ramban says, actually, tamid, in the sense of always on, does apply to the menorah. He bases it on Chazal, which says that the rest of the lights of the menorah were lit from the Ner HaMa'aravi, the western lamp or candle within the menorah, and that was on all the time. Now, which one that was is subject to some dispute among the authorities, whether it's at the very end of the second or the middle, but whatever it was constantly on. And from that, we lit, or when the Beis HaMikdash was in existence, and Mirz Hashem will be in existence soon, that's how we lit the menorah, from that lamp every day. We also have this notion of constancy. We say it in the morning davening, in the prayers in the morning, in the Berachos Krishma. We say, Hamachadesh b'tuvo b'chol yom tamid. Hashem, who in his goodness renews the world every day, tamid, constantly, b'chol yom, every day, tamid, constantly renewing. And that goes back to the statement of the Rambam, which is the principle that the Almighty is Hamanzi kol hanimtzoim. He causes that which exists, everything that exists, to exist. And if he would stop for one moment to will us to exist, we would cease to exist. So he is constantly, not just regularly, but constantly willing us to exist. We have another phrase, tamid l'olam va'ed. We see this in, for example, in Maariv, in the evening prayer. We say, Kel chai v'kayam tamid yimoch aleinu l'olam va'ed. The living God will constantly rule over us forever. Two different concepts. One is the duration in our time, and then the question is for how long. We have a similar concept, Va'kulam, at the end of the Amidah prayer, we say for Modim, Va'kulam yisbarach v'samam shimchom akenu tamid olam va'ed, and we're praising God that His name will be will be blessed and glorified, tamid, all the time. This is also reflected in the exhortation or the description, self-description of David Melech and Tehillim, where he says, Shivisi Hashem l'negdi tamid, I have placed the Almighty before me, tamid, always. That doesn't mean from time to time. It doesn't mean recurring at patterns and intervals, but rather it means always. Now, we're not always contemplating God, but we're always, if you will, mindful of God in the sense that we understand that we are walking before God, whatever we do, whether we're working or we're learning or we're playing or even if we're sleeping, we have somewhere operating in the background. And I'm not a neurologist or a psychologist. I don't know how this works, but there's an awareness of God all the time, or at least that's what we're encouraged to do, so that we will govern ourselves literally accordingly and make sure that in every situation we respond appropriately according to halacha in order to do ritzon haborei, the will of God. And for that, our mindfulness is tamid in the sense of consistent, constant, and continuous. Have a good Shabbos.